The Ravens have always been more than just a football team. They're a true force of nature in the NFL. But what really makes Baltimore so respected year after year? What makes this franchise so unique, able to stay at the top and strike fear into opponents? It's not just the history. It's not just a roster. It's something much deeper. And you're about to understand exactly what it is. Stay with me until the end, because you're going to uncover the secrets behind why the Ravens have earned such unshakable respect and how they continue to dominate the NFL in a way no one else can. It's not luck, it's strategy. Want to know how? Let's get into it. Go Ravens. When the Ravens were born in 1996, they needed an identity. It wasn't enough to join the NFL as the new team. They had to make a statement that Baltimore wouldn't be just another name on the schedule. And that's exactly what the franchise did. From day one, they rejected flashy plays or high-scoring theatrics. The decision was clear and bold. This team would win with defense. Play tough, hit hard, and face anyone head-on. No fear, no fluff. This wasn't just a technical choice. It was symbolic. By prioritizing defense, the Ravens were sending a message. Here, respect is earned the hard way. Fans picked up on that fast. The wins weren't pretty, full of highlight reel plays. They were earned through grit, sweat, and a defense that smothered offenses. That created a real connection with the city of Baltimore, a city full of hardworking people who relate to struggle, resilience, and effort. The team became a mirror of the city's soul. The piece that brought this philosophy to life came in the franchise's very first draft. Ray Lewis, a linebacker with unreal energy, a commanding leadership instinct, and a style of play that combined technique, intensity, and pure intelligence. He wasn't just a great player. He was the kind of leader who made everyone around him better. When he stepped on the field, the atmosphere shifted. The defense became an army. With Lewis leading the charge, the Ravens became feared. Not just because they could shut down offenses, but because they disrupted rhythm, forced mistakes, and made opponents doubt themselves. Every tackle, every shout, every glare sent a message. It didn't matter if they were winning or losing. They were going to fight to the end. That mindset became their signature. Baltimore was never an easy place to play again. That defensive foundation gave the team a solid reputation early on. And when you're respected from the beginning, everything changes. Players want to play there. Coaches respect the locker room. The NFL sees you differently. The franchise grows not just from results, but from what it stands for. In the Ravens' case, they came to represent strength, intensity, and commitment to a brand of football few dare to play. That beginning shaped everything that came after. The foundation was built on a clear philosophy. If we lose, we go down swinging. And if we win, we send a message to the whole league. Don't mess with us. That defensive DNA is still alive today, even with all the natural changes over the years. Because when you're born with that identity, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. Just keep the fire burning. And that fire exploded in the year 2000, when the Ravens' defense became one of the most terrifying forces the NFL has ever witnessed. Some seasons aren't just great, they're unforgettable. And for Ravens fans, 2000 wasn't just a winning year. It was the year their defense became legendary. Baltimore didn't just win the Super Bowl. They left a trail of fear everywhere they went. It felt like every opponent already knew before kickoff that they were in for a long, brutal afternoon. This wasn't a regular defense. It was a wall. What stood out most was the consistency. The Ravens allowed only 165 points all season. That an average of just over 10 points per game. In a league built for offensive fireworks, Baltimore shut everything down. It didn't matter if the quarterback was a veteran, if the other team was fast, or if the coach was a genius. The Ravens' defense erased everything. With disciplined violence and intelligence, Ray Lewis was the emotional and tactical core of this machine. He read offenses like a book. Around him, guys like Tony Siragusa, Rod Woodson, Peter Boulware, and Sam Adams made up a unit that seemed engineered in a lab. Big, fast, aggressive, and most importantly, they played as one. This defense was a living organism. Every piece knew its role, and every part moved together. But it wasn't just talent. It was mindset. That defense didn't take the field just to make stops. They came to earn respect. Every hit was a statement. Every forced fumble was a message. Every interception was a declaration. The Ravens aren't here to compete. We're here to dominate. They knew the offense was limited that year, so they took full responsibility, and they delivered. The peak came at Super Bowl 35 against the New York Giants. The defense swallowed the opposing offense, allowing just 3 points, and those didn't even come directly from the offense. It was such a dominant performance that even non-Ravens fans had to admit this was historic. More than just a score, Baltimore won 34-7. It was a fear their defense created that stuck. They didn't just win a championship. They sent a warning. That season became a gold standard in the NFL. Whenever people talk about legendary defenses, the 2000 Ravens are at the top of the list. And that matters, because keeping a reputation for over 2 decades isn't easy. But when you carve your name into history like that, the respect is automatic. Everyone remembers. Players, coaches, analysts, fans. That defense became the blueprint, a reflection of everything the Ravens have always aimed to be. And it was that very blueprint the organization refused to abandon, building a culture so powerful that even after legends left, the spirit never died. And can you imagine the impact of a defense as dominant as the 2000 Ravens? Drop a comment if you remember that iconic season, or if you know of another defense that completely changed the fate of a team with such overwhelming presence. Let's talk about it in the comments. Every team wants to win, but few manage to sustain a winning mindset for so long. With the Ravens, it was never about luck or coincidence. It was a choice. Since the franchise's foundation, they understood that having good players wasn't enough. It was necessary to build a culture, something greater than any star, a standard of behavior, work ethic, and commitment, an internal code that simply leaves no room for laziness, vanity, or lack of focus. Ozzie Newsome, the first general manager in franchise history, was the architect of that structure. He understood that talent was important, but character came first. A player wearing a Ravens jersey had to understand what that represented. Maximum effort, team spirit, tactical discipline, and emotional resilience. It wasn't just about playing well. It was about playing the right way, and that became law in Baltimore, a non-negotiable culture. This way of thinking guided every draft, every signing, every contract renewal. The Ravens didn't chase trends. They weren't impressed by flashy names or fantasy stats. They looked for players who fit the system, the locker room, and the club's philosophy. And that's why so many talents succeeded there, not because they were perfect, but because they were molded within an environment where everyone raised a standard. That also created a rare continuity in the NFL. While other franchises go through endless rebuild cycles, the Ravens maintain a solid foundation. When a veteran leaves, a young player is already ready to take over. And when a coach exits, the system remains. This happens because the culture stands above any name. The respect is maintained by the way the organization positions itself, with firmness, clarity, and conviction. Eric DeCosta, who took over as general manager after Newsome, followed that exact path. He didn't try to reinvent anything. He kept the standard, continued prioritizing the draft, valuing internal development, and reinforcing the locker room with athletes who understand the weight of the Ravens jersey. And just like that, the team remained strong, competitive, respected, year after year, regardless of who's on the roster. This organizational coherence is one of Baltimore's greatest assets. Because talent comes and goes, injuries happen, good and bad phases appear. But when the environment is stable and the culture is strong, the team never collapses. The Ravens have shown the entire NFL that while many worry about the now, they build thinking about the always. And that's what separates good teams from respected franchises. And part of that respect also comes from the ability to build leaders, players who not only shine on the field, but become the emotional backbone of the roster. Some franchises by big names. The Ravens prefer to build them. That's one of Baltimore's strongest trademarks, turning raw talent into icons both on and off the field. And that doesn't happen by accident. It's a direct result of the culture the team created, an environment where players are challenged to evolve, to take responsibility, and to become more than just another piece on the board. They become part of the team's identity. Ray Lewis didn't become a legend just because of his tackles. He became the face of the franchise because he absorbed the culture, led through the toughest moments, and inspired everyone around him. The same happened with Ed Reed, one of the smartest and most instinctive safeties the NFL has ever seen. He wasn't just efficient. He was cerebral, strategic, a true nightmare for any quarterback. Players like that don't come ready-made. They are shaped. And the Ravens are masters at it. That development isn't just technical. It's mental. The Ravens teach what responsibility means. They teach players how to position themselves in the locker room, how to hold teammates accountable, how to maintain standards even when no one is watching. That's why those who grow up in Baltimore leave ready to lead anywhere. And many don't even want to leave, because they understand that the weight of the jersey comes with respect and purpose. Another remarkable example is Terrell Suggs. Drafted in 2003, he arrived as a promising pass rusher and turned into one of the most respected players of his generation. Over time, he became a vocal leader in the locker room, a community icon, and a continuation of what Lewis and Reed had built. He kept the legacy alive. And that's what separates leaders from fleeting idols, the impact that remains after they leave the field. More recently, names like Justin Tucker and Lamar Jackson have taken on that responsibility. Tucker, with his almost supernatural consistency as a kicker, became a symbol of reliability. Lamar, with his unique and explosive style, led the franchise into a new era, keeping the fighting spirit but bringing fresh energy. And the most impressive part, even as young players, these leaders absorb the culture and help pass it on to the next generation. This leadership development process is a continuous cycle. When one big name says goodbye, another is already being groomed behind the scenes. The Ravens locker room always has voices ready to lead, correct, and inspire. That's why the team rarely crumbles under pressure. When the game gets tight, there's always someone ready to step up, someone who's been molded for it since the very first practice. And that kind of leadership spills onto the field, especially when each unit of the team, whether offense, defense, or special teams, carries the same physical and dominant identity. All right, we're heading into the fifth topic. But first, I notice you haven't hit the like button on this video yet. That's really important so YouTube keeps pushing my content to you, and I can keep bringing you the best coverage on the Baltimore Ravens. So go ahead and hit that like. It's free. Thanks. Let's continue. When people talk about physical identity, most think only of defense, and with good reason, since the Ravens built their reputation on crushing opposing offenses. But the truth is that the spirit of dominance spread to every part of the team. In Baltimore, there's no room for passivity. Whether it's the offensive line, the special teams, or even the quarterback running like a running back, the style has always been the same: aggressive, direct, and dominant. This identity starts in the trenches. The Ravens' offensive line, at various points in history, was built to push opposing defenses like a moving wall. It wasn't just about protecting the quarterback. It was about controlling the pace of the game, wearing down the opponent physically, and breaking the confidence of whoever stood on the other side. Playing against Baltimore was never just a tactical battle. It was a test of endurance. The running game has always been central to this. The Ravens refused to follow the trend of purely aerial attacks. Even in the years when the rest of the league became increasingly pass-heavy, Baltimore stayed grounded. Running backs like Jamal Lewis, Ray Rice, J.K. Dobbins, and more recently Gus Edwards have always been key pieces, not just to gain yards, but to hit, punish, dominate. The Ravens' offense never tried to be pretty. It tried to be relentless. In special teams, the story repeats itself. It's no coincidence that Justin Tucker, a kicker, became one of the franchise's biggest names. In Baltimore, even the kicker exudes confidence, precision, and composure. And names like Sam Koch, the team's legendary punter, showed that every detail of the game is treated with seriousness. The Ravens would field position, pressure returners, and block with intensity, all done with discipline and aggression. And when Lamar Jackson took command of the offense, that physical identity gained a new dimension. For the first time, a Ravens quarterback didn't just lead the team with his arm, but also with his legs and with his body. Lamar runs as if he's always been part of the ground game, taking hits, breaking tackles, and destabilizing defenses that have no idea how to contain him. He brought creativity, yes, but without losing the physical essence that defines the team. This coherence across all phases of the game creates something rare. A team that speaks the same language in every unit. When the defense takes the field, the offense knows what to expect. When the special teams step in, they're already in tune. This reinforces internal cohesion and makes life harder for any opponent. Baltimore doesn't adapt to the opponent's style. It forces the opponent to adapt to theirs. And that imposition is one of the franchise's greatest strengths. Even so, maintaining that style doesn't mean standing still in time. And the Ravens have shown that it's possible to evolve without abandoning their essence, adapting to the league and to their own internal cycles. The league is constantly changing, and the NFL is no different from any other sport in terms of tactical evolution. Trends come and go. Strategies that dominate one cycle quickly become obsolete. But what separates great teams is the ability to evolve without losing their essence. The Ravens managed to do that masterfully, keeping their physical and intense spirit while adapting to the changes of the modern game. When the NFL began to prioritize more open offenses, with pocket-passing quarterbacks and speedy receivers dominating the scene, many teams tried to copy that model. Baltimore could have lost itself in that movement, but instead, it stayed focused on a physical and disciplined style, without forgetting innovation. The addition of Lamar Jackson to the team in 2018, a mobile and unpredictable quarterback, brought a new dimension to the offense without compromising the ground-and-pound identity. What makes the Ravens' adaptation even more impressive is how they managed to balance this new style with their old football philosophy. Instead of abandoning their dominant defense to focus on a more aerial attack, they used Lamar Jackson's mobility to maintain balance. His ability to run not only opened new offensive paths, but also kept opponents constantly tense, forcing them to adapt to quarterback speed and versatility. This made the Ravens' defense even more crucial, especially when playing with a lead, controlling the game through pressure and dominance. Furthermore, Baltimore always had a clear vision to keep its defensive foundation solid, even while modernizing the offense. They never gave up what had always made them respected: the defense. In 2019, when Jackson led the team to a 14-win season, the defense was still the backbone. The team knew how to evolve while preserving the qualities that defined it, without abandoning the weight of the defense in the game. That's not something you see often. Many teams risk everything on a single formula and end up abandoning what made them good in the first place. The Ravens knew how to balance the new with the old, creating an unstoppable force. Another key part of this adaptation is the continuous development of their defensive system. The Ravens maintain their physical base, but adapt to the speed of the modern game, with more mobile and flexible formations. They understand that speed, versatility, and defensive intelligence are vital in a league where the passing game has become increasingly dominant. The Ravens' defense, though still brutal, has become more agile and adaptable without losing its strength. That doesn't mean the Ravens got complacent. They continue to be aggressive, looking for new ways to improve, whether through the draft, new training philosophies, or smart trades. They are a franchise that never stops learning and reinventing, but without losing what made them great: physical intensity, fighting spirit, and the relentless pursuit of excellence. And it's this ongoing pursuit of evolution that keeps the team relevant, respected, and always on par with the league's best. And all of this is sustained by a constant commitment to staying relevant, which brings an impressive level of consistency to the team year after year. And if you made it this far, drop a comment saying Ravens, evolution without limits. So I know you recognize how this franchise reinvents itself year after year while staying true to its essence. Let's keep going. When we talk about respected teams, the story of the Ravens is a clear model of how a franchise builds and sustains greatness. They're not just known for their victories. They're revered for their character, consistency, and the way they command respect on and off the field. A franchise that builds a solid identity and stays true to its principles over the years becomes a reference point. And that's exactly what the Ravens have done throughout their history. The impact of a franchise like Baltimore goes far beyond winning seasons or championship titles. It's about a legacy that spreads across the league, creating a culture of respect and seriousness in everything they do. Over the years, opponents have learned to fear the Ravens brand, not because it's just another team, but because it represents an unbeatable mindset. From the early days to the present, the Ravens don't just play, they leave their mark on the NFL. And that respect doesn't just come from winning. It comes from how they face any opponent, in any situation, with an uncompromising attitude. They're not afraid to fight, whether on offense or defense. More importantly, the franchise has never got complacent. When the game changes, when new stars emerge, the Ravens have always known how to adapt without abandoning their DNA. And that's what solidifies the league's respect for them. Legends like Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, and Joe Flacco helped build this reputation. Each, in their own way, brought something unique to the franchise. But what's most impressive is how the Ravens continue to hold firm to their identity even after those icons are gone. The franchise knows its legacy doesn't rest in specific players, but in the collective mindset that runs through the entire team. That's why the Ravens remain a powerhouse. Not because of one individual, but because of philosophy that transcends generations. The continued success, even through roster changes, coaching shifts, and new cycles, proves the strength of the foundation that was laid. Baltimore isn't just a successful franchise in terms of results. It's a franchise with the power to inspire and create new generations of players and fans. The respect they've earned across the league is built with every play, every win, every loss. But above all, with every commitment to excellence. And that attitude is reflected on the field, in the streets, and in the minds of fans. When you're a Ravens fan, you're not just cheering for a team. You're a part of something greater. You're connected to a franchise with history, legacy, and a name that's synonymous with respect. That's something that goes beyond football. It translates into a culture that shapes behavior both on and off the field. This respect, earned over the years, is what secures the Ravens' place among the most admired franchises in the NFL, and what continues to drive their spirit of victory and strength, always ready for the next challenge. Now that we've gone through this entire story, it's clear why the Ravens are so respected in the NFL, isn't it? The solid foundation built over the years, the unbeatable culture of hard work, the leaders who became legends, and the unique ability to adapt all make Baltimore a franchise that never loses its essence, no matter the challenge. The Ravens have shown that respect isn't earned overnight. It's forged in every practice, every play, and every win. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments. What impressed you the most about the Ravens story? Let's keep this conversation going about this incredible franchise.
And if you, just like me, are passionate about the world of football and want to learn more about the Ravens' legacy, don't leave this video without sharing it with that friend who is also a Baltimore Ravens fan and will love this content. See those video suggestions on your screen? The first one was handpicked just for you, and the other is a recommendation from YouTube itself. See you there, and until the next video, go Flock.